I tell people about, Henry Wallace, how he was a socialist and he was a pacifist. So that's why the powers that be didn't want him to be the president, because they had plans for those bombs. You know what I mean? And so people need to understand, this is why it's important to understand the history, you know what I mean? So that you can at least, have a different perspective than what you were taught or weren't taught in school, which is, again, getting back to CPI, that's a vital role to provide materials for people to be able to read on their own, and also to do podcasts and interviews and talk about, like what we're doing now, talk about actual things from history, so that those that are interested at some point, I think we'll see more and more people who are interested because they're not satisfied with their life. And, in order to understand how we got to where we are now, you do have to understand some history. Yes. Right? So I think providing that information, so here's some tools, here's some information for you, and CPI is doing a great job. Well, what are some examples of some of the books that you've published or had republished?
Well, the first book we ever published was The Green Book by Muammar Gaddafi, because, Libya, under the leadership of Gaddafi, had the highest life expectancy in Africa. They had built the world's largest irrigation system, the Great Man-Made River. And so we wanted to show people what it was that, that Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama destroyed with their bombing campaign in 2011, and how it was that the most prosperous country in Africa was reduced to rubble, and what NATO, this criminal organization, what it had done in Libya. So we published the Green Book, which is the manifesto of the Libyan government. We have also published a number of books, about socialism in the United States, socialist history, about economics, trying to give a new perspective, because we do feel like, a lot of the left are very, very loyal to the Democratic Party, and they view the masses of the American people as their enemy, and that's a huge mistake. And so we have to rethink left and right in our time. I'm a religious person. I believe in God. I'm a Christian, and I think that Christian faith and socialism walk hand in hand. Obviously there was horrendous persecution of Christians during the Cold War time, but the communist world has largely changed its perspective. The head of the Russian Communist Party, who I've met, Gennady Zyuganov, he's a Christian. He's a Russian Orthodox Christian. Nicolas Maduro, the leader of Venezuela, is a Roman Catholic. Daniel Ortega of Nicaragua, not only is he a Roman Catholic, but the slogan of the government is Christianity, socialism, and solidarity. And that we need to rethink left and right and how we orient ourselves, because unfortunately, I think a lot of the most ugly capitalist politics, this degrowth notion that human beings are a cancer, the radical individualism where everyone feels a need to yell at everybody else and tear them down the way people do on social media. Unfortunately, a lot of the left has embraced that. And a lot of Americans are rightly threatened by that. They don't appreciate that. And I think that, is those sentiments of resisting the low-wage police state and the degrowth and the march toward World War III and the kind of elements of control that are being imposed on our population right now. That is where the socialists and the anti-imperialists need to be. And we don't need to be with the left. It's almost kind of trying to enforce it and sees the enemy as the population. And that's, CPI is kind of new in our orientation. We tell people we're not left, we're not right, we're anti-war, we're socialists, and we're
patriots.
And we're patriots too. We love our country, right? And if you don't love your country, why should the country listen to you? If you're not motivated by trying to make things better in your country, what do you have to say? It's just kind of common sense. If you're in Brazil, you're a political leader in Brazil, you should be trying to make Brazil better. If you're in Greece and you're trying to make Greece, you're a political leader, you should be trying to make Greece better. It's just common sense. But unfortunately, a lot of the left has gotten into this kind of weird identity politics place where it's not about actually trying to make things better. It's about demonstrating how good you are. It's a virtue signaling. And I think that's a problem. And so in order to do the work that needs to be done, we've had to, separate ourselves from the mainstream of the left. And I think, but, we'll talk to anybody. The fact that I'm here in LA for this event, right? The idea of me doing something with this particular church, 5-10 years ago, I would have thought was outrageous. Right. And they probably would have thought the same thing. Exactly. But the world is changing, and we should embrace that change, because Absolutely. The world is constantly changing and evolving, and I'm constantly learning. I don't think exactly what I thought 10 years ago. I don't think you do either, right? And it's important to be able to learn and reconsider.